Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to make a silicone mold so you can cast your sculptures in resin. Now this is made of Super Sculpey, looks like this, and I just made my guy and baked it in the oven. I took this piece of foam core that I got from Walgreens. It comes in really big sheets. I drew a circle of where my character is going to sit on here because I'm going to use this cup to make the mold, and you just don't want your mold to be too thin, so you want to make sure that your character or your sculpture is not touching the sides of this. Okay, we have our character here. We have the mark where he's going to sit. We're going to take a hot glue gun, and I'm just going to put a bead all around the bottom here. And we're going to glue it right to this foam core. You don't want any silicone to seep underneath, so just make a ring here. It doesn't have to be pretty. And then I'm going to face him this way. And I've already marked where I want the front of him to face. So there's that. He's stuck. Now we're going to take our cup and we're going to run a bead around the edge of this. You don't want to skip any part of it, otherwise your silicone will leak out and go all over the place. And this hot glue will not dry suddenly. It takes it a minute, so you have a little bit of time. Make sure your sculpture is not touching the edge of your mold cup. Okay, and then we're going to push it down. All right. Then we're going to take our hot glue gun and we're going to make double sure it doesn't have any leaks for the resin or for the silicone to come out. So that's what we're doing here. We're just going to run a bead right around it. Hot glue is cheap, so go ahead and use a lot. Silicone gets expensive, so we don't want any to leak out and cause a mess and have to redo all this. Okay, that's pretty good. I leave my hot glue gun on and set it to the side because if I pour my silicone in here and it starts leaking, I can fix it right away without having to wait for this to warm up and all silicone leaking everywhere. So let's go on to the next step. All right, we cut a hole, or cut the top off of this cup because this is going to be our mold. And I have another cup here, and this is where we're going to mix our silicone. This is the silicone that I use. There's a A part and a B part, and you just mix them 50-50. And we decided that we're going to do ours 10 parts of A and 10 parts of B to get 20 ounces. So 10 ounces of A and 10 ounces of B. You could pour this in separate containers and pour it into one container. I'm pretty confident that we can do this with no problem. So here we go. We're going to go 10 of A. Okay. Ten of B. Okay, that's 20, and that's what we want for this one. Now we're going to stir this up just like this. And the cool thing about this silicone is it's two different colors. you want to stir it until it becomes a consistent color, so there's no streaks or anything. And make sure you rub down the sides. Try not to whip too much air into this. Now you could pour this in your mold now and probably make an okay mold, but what we're going to do is we're going to put this in a vacuum chamber and we're going to suck all of the little air bubbles out, and I will show you how to do that next. Alright, this is our little vacuum chamber, and our silicone is inside there, and notice there's a lot of room between the top of the silicone and the top of this cup, and that's because when you vacuum it, you're pulling all the air out and this will expand, and you'll see here in a minute that these bubbles come up and it increases in size briefly, and you don't want it spilling all over inside your vacuum chamber. So this is a vacuum chamber. It comes with a vacuum pump. Alright, that's about as far as I like to take it, and then I like to let it sit here, and you'll see these bubbles start to get sucked out. And it will get bigger and bigger. Then the bubbles will die down, and then we'll slowly let air back into the vacuum chamber and take out our new bubble-free silicone. All right, we have our silicone, we have our mold, and our glue gun is still on in case there's any leaks right down in here. We marked where the front of our character is. That's going to help us later when we cut our mold open, because I want to cut it on the sides of the character, not right down his face. All right, here's our silicone that we degassed, and we're going to try to pour it in the back here. We're not going to pour it on the character or the sculpture. We're going to pour it off to the side and let it slowly fill up. And I'm going to try to pour this kind of high and kind of thin. That way it will stretch out any remaining bubbles. And I'm just pouring slowly, slowly, slowly. This silicone takes about a few hours to set up, so I'm not worried about it drying up on me. Oh, there goes my doggy. And we're just, we're making a little bit of a mess. It's okay. We're pouring it slowly. That way it'll push out any air bubbles, hopefully, around our little character. And it's just going to slowly fill up. We want to make sure that we have enough silicone. It goes over top of his little tentacles. And see this here? This is no good. You need to have your sculpture completely covered. But that's okay because the silicone is forgiving. We'll just mix up a little bit more, degas it, pour it right on top. And because the setup time is a few hours, it'll be just fine. All right, be back in a minute. We mixed up a little bit more. We're gonna cover up our top of our little guy here. This has been degassed in the vacuum chamber. We're just going to pour it high so there's no bubbles, just to make double sure. Could probably stop right there, but I mixed up some extra. I want to use this mold for as many times as I... All right, we're back. It's the next day, and our silicone is all set up. I have marked here where the front of my guy is, and I marked on this dry silicone with a marker where the front of him is and where I'm going to cut it, because once it comes out of this plastic and this board, I'm not going to know where the front is anymore. And I'm going to unwrap this really fast and speed up the video so this isn't super long, and then I'll show you how to cast it. All right, here we go. We're going to cut this at a zigzag pattern so it fits back together nicely. This is mold release. We're going to spray a spray of this in our new mold. And then we're going to take equal parts A and equal parts B, and we're going to pour it in this mold in our pressure pot, and we will cast it. This resin is a 30-minute setup and cure, so I'll see you at the pressure pot. All right, here's our pressure pot. This mold on the left is the mold we just made, and the mold on the right is an old mold, and I'm just going to have that extra mold in case I have too much resin. I don't want to just throw it away. So we're going to pour it slow and thin at first. This resin takes 30 minutes to cure, so we have a little bit of time to work with. All right. Now we're going to put this lid on. This is connected to an air compressor, and it just pressurizes this pot. And I have mine set to 50 pounds. So when it gets to 50 pounds, it will stop pressurizing. And then we will just let it sit in this pot, closed up and pressurized for 30, maybe 35 minutes, just to be safe. And then we will open it up and demold and see how we did. Okay, our mold is out of the pressure pot, and we use a pressure pot to smash the bubbles in the resin to get a nice, consistent surface on our cast. If you don't use a pressure pot, it's a lot easier to get bubbles and it'll mess up your cast. So let's see what we have here. I put a little glow-in-the-dark powder in here, maybe see if it'll glow. And I'm just going to open it up, peel it out of here. Ooh. Ta-da! That's our first cast, and it's got a little bit of pinching of the mold in there, but that's okay. We'll check it out, see what else needs to be done, but that's how you do it. All right. Let me know if you have any questions. Awesome.